Oh boy, we are having problems this morning with Richard's
Microphone?
computer dexterity. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. It's fine.
No, it's not. I forgot to put the graphic in, and I forgot to put the video in. So I'm rocking and rolling there, Thomas. So I had to upload the video so I could play the video to get started. Just straight up brilliance. As that song used to say, he blinded me with science. I'm blinding you with my brilliance. All right. So today we're going to go to Eagle Farm for pre-party racing. This is not insomnia racing. This is the pre-party at the house. You know, you have a couple of drinks before you head out. Pre-party, that's what we're going to do tonight at Eagle Farm. Any particular, do they actually like breed eagles there, or just the name of the town?
No, as far as I know, it's just the name. It's in Queensland, so near Brisbane, in that area. So there's two tracks, Doombem and this track, Eagle Farm. And so they seem to trade off on which track they race at.
So what's the strategy at Eagle Farm? It looks like a pretty normal, typical U.S. style racetrack. Is it a deep track? What sort of track?
Clockwise. It does go up and down. There's a little bit of undulation in this course. I don't know if you got the map I sent you, or a link to it, I should say.
Ta-da.
It does. There's a little bit of up and down on this track. So it's in the back stretch, it tends to be a little lower, and the top of the stretch seems to be a little more, a little higher. So not quite, not as crazy as some of the English tracks, but
still a little bit of up and down. So
yeah, there's a little bit of variety here.
So we're going to kick it off with race number 3 at Eagle Farm. This is the Nova 106.9, your classic Class 3 plate. I don't know what kind of music they play there, but it'd be kind of interesting to listen to it. I know on the internet you probably can. Maybe we should pull it up and see indeed what kind of music they play there. So this one is going to be 1,600 meters. It is a Class 3. If we look at the graphic that Tom did send me, 1,600 meters are going to start all the way back here. They got a nice little run, so it looks they got plenty of time to get positioned. A big sweeping turn, it looks like. It looks like a pretty decent front stretch there to come down to the finish line. Thomas, from my experience watching horse racing, it's been a while since we've done Eagle Farm, so I don't remember past like last Tuesday. So remembering the last time we did Eagle Farm would be tough for me. But I would suspect, like many of the races we see down there, closers or stalkers tend to have the advantage. Would you say that's the case at this track too?
I would say so, but we have one race later in the card that has got a ton of speed. So this one, on the other hand, doesn't have a ton of speed.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because according to this barrier speed, it looks to me like Holstein, December Diamond, and Pizzo, I guess a different sort of pizza. There are the 3 that are going to get towards the front, though it does look like it's going to be pretty competitive up there. As they kind of come to settle, it does look as though Pizzo, those 3 horses, will be on the lead, and everybody else looks like they want to close. So in a map like this, I would lean towards the speed having a chance to hold up. And then at the end, man, it's going to be an all-out cavalry, a stampede to the finish line. Looking at those 3 charts there, I would say that it could give the early speed a little bit of advantage. Well, what do you say, and who do you like?
I did go think of it that way, and I went with some of the speed horses. And my first top choice is going to be December Diamond, who's going to break from barrier 5. Last 3 races have been going well. It won one of them in 2 seconds. Been at a little lower level. Missed by a half a length last time at 1,800 meters, so they're shortening it up a little. Has won before at this course and at this distance. I think definitely in form. It's just a matter of the little bit of a class rise. Can it handle that?
I should say before you move on, Tom, it's considered good 4, so the track is in good shape. And this one will start at 10:13 p.m. Eastern. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's important stuff. Of course, we don't have the predictor, so can't have everything.
Can't have everything.
Number 3, Pizzo, is going to be my next choice. Number 2, coming out of the barrier 2. Won it last time at Ipswich, going 1,500 meters by a little over 2 lengths. But this race, it sat close to the pace, not really on it. But all the last 3 races have been good, and a third, a second, and then a win at Class 2 level. In the money percentage is high, and this is the first time at this distance, so a little bit of concern there, but and a little bit of a class hike, but it seems to fit with this bunch because there's, as your last chart showed, there's a lot going to be there at the end. Finally, number 8, Tarex is my final choice. Going to break from barrier 8. Since the layoff, it ran a nice 4th at this level, and then came back and ran a 5th at the BM70 level. Both races lost about 3 lengths. So it moves into the 3rd race of the season, and it got a really nice record. 2 starts. It's got 1 win and 1 placing. So it may have needed a little things to do. My concern is he really does better running with a little moisture in the ground. So the good form may not be to his liking, but I did read there was rain in the forecast.
So maybe gets a little downgraded.
So who knows?
Yeah, well, you spring weather down there, right? It's anything.
It's spring, yeah.
Nice indeed.
Getting into summer.
All right, so I'm going to start off with number 1, El Número Uno, Akihiro. This is a horse to me that when you just look at the distance, it just looks to me like it's the right distance. As I was rewinding through the past performances, it looked to me like a little bit longer for this horse was better. It ran at the distance 3 times, has a pair of seconds on there, been at the track once, didn't really do much in there. But I do think this horse is one that is in form and should be coming pretty hard at the end. And that's kind of really what I focused on here. Horses that would be charging at the end. They look to me very similarly as we saw in the pace setup that the folks at racenet.com.au put together. I kind of schematiced it out the same way. The 2 horses, my second choice, Alberg. It does look to me like this guy is the favorite going into the race here. It's another one where I feel like the distance could be the right space. It hasn't gone this far yet this year, but as it extends out, it gets closer and closer to the finish line. So I'm not too happy with the odds, to be honest with you. I had the 10 horse in here as a pick, but it did get scratched. So Enterprise Baya is not a part of my picks, but number 4, Real Aid, is my final choice. This one is a little bit of a price at 20-1. This guy looks like he's in pretty good form to me right now. The last 2, he won 4th before that, so showing some improvement. Last win was 3 weeks ago. He's run okay on a good track, 6 times out, a win, a place in a show. But again, I like the fact that this horse has run at the distance 3 times and managed to bring home the top prize, 2 of them, and he got the silver medal in the others. So get a little bit of a price. That horse that likes the distance, in good form, and has been okay on a good track as well. So that is my thoughts for race number 3. We're going to skip ahead a race to race number 5. That's a race, right? Yeah. So this is the Grand Prix Stakes for 3-year-olds. This one is 2,100 meters. If we look at the chart that Tom sent me, looks to me like it's going to be at least 1 full circle around the track. That much running time, I would definitely expect the horse with late legs to have a little bit of an advantage. Do you think that would be accurate?
I think that would hold up, yes.
All right. So if we look at the early speed in this particular race, we'll see on the speed maps here, boy, Cash Me, they're going to have to play catch me with that guy because he has an extreme early race bias, according to this speed chart. At the settling position, they're going to string out, it looks like, from front to back. They could run single file all the way around the track, Thomas. And as they come around that turn down that front stretch, it's going to be another one where, I don't say a cavalry coming, not a stampede this time, but looks like Kovalica and Kandos Cosmos will be the ones that have the most Monster Energy drink in them as they come down the stretch for the win. How do you see it playing out?
I went on the favorite for my top choice, which is number 1, Kovalica, which is going to break from barrier 8. One of the last 3 races, one at 1,600 meters, did that twice actually, and 2,000 meters. And when it moved out of the maiden ranks into the little bit of the quality level fields, so a notch below where we are going to be going today, because we're going to be in a Group 3 race. You know, this is a horse that sits off the leaders and closes, and there's going to be plenty. There's a speed horse in this race, so it may set this horse up very nicely. Again, it is going up in class, so let's see if it can handle that. Based on the way it's been running, though, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say.
And the jockey trainer combination are winning at a 28% clip right now. That's pretty good.
Workable.
Yeah. Number 8, Noah and Adila. It's going to be my next choice. Barrier 1 is going to break from. And it's got good form. I mean, its last 4 races got 2 wins, a second and a third. You know, I like that. I raced against my last pick, lost by 2 lengths, and now it's going to get a little extra ground to try to make that up. Will it help? Maybe. Did move from 6th to 2nd, so it was closing. I didn't appear to have much of a chance at that. So with this horse, I think early position is going to be a key, and to have and get some running room when it needs to go, because barrier 1 is barrier 1. And finally,
well, you know that distance though. Well, I mean, it depends on how quick they get to that first turn.
Well, and they can get cut off and stuff like that. That's my concern, is that you lose ground. You're saving ground theoretically on being on the inside, but you know who with the speed horse in there, it's just a matter where those horses, to me, in that second group where are they going to be sitting, and how is that one horse going to get more shuffled back than anything else? So that's my concern there. Tap-a-doodle-doo is number 6 from barrier 5 is my final choice. It won its maiden race 3 races back at this track, and it been placing in some quality race. It's been running okay. A 5th at 1,600 meters and a 4th at 2,000 meters. This is a mid-pack runner, which I think suits for this type of race. It's definitely a move up in class, but maybe a little more ground and some those earlier runs and a winner over the course. I always like to see that, and I think they're good with that one. You're going to get some decent odds.
Looks like 41-1 right now. So yes, that's indeed some decent odds. Well, I'm going to start off with Tradition as my top choice. And Tradition is a horse that's been on a good track a couple of times, brought home the winner's check. You can see right here, 2 out of 2. You put him on any other distance, so far he hasn't won. So he's going to get the track he likes. Hopefully the rain holds off before this one starts at 11:32 p.m. Eastern. Next up for me is going to be that favorite. You know, kind of hard to argue with the form of the horse that's won 3 in a row. Absolutely. 2 of those 2 were on a good track as well. So likes the track, great form. Going to be low odds though. Looks like right now it's about 8-5.
1 to 2 is the one what I saw on the bookie sites.
On the bookie sites, I was going to say by the time the gates open, it's going to be much lower than that, I would suspect. So I'm just trying to beat that one with the 3. I also like the 8 horse, as do you, Thomas. The Noah and Adil, whatever that means. But anyway, this one is usually off the pace, as you mentioned. Does have, it seems to me, of the late pace of horses in here, perhaps some of the most late run. So I'm expecting this one to be charging at the end. Maybe not win. This is the classic Tom horse. Is it going to win? Probably not. But is it going to finish in the money? Yeah, maybe. So I like that horse to be a gimmick cleaner upper at 5-1, though. I think it's a little bit over bet, to be honest, at least at what those odds are. We'll see what that looks like at the end. And then finally, I'm going to go with the Cash Me, because this horse has such a big speed advantage over everybody else. If the jockey can go out and run reasonable fractions and not one of those, like, I'm going to run the opening quarter in 21 1/4, get 44 lengths ahead of everybody else just to watch myself fade to last in the final 100 yards. If Cash Me goes out, runs decent fractions, doesn't try to be crazy, I can see this one going wire to wire because it is lone speed and everybody is looking for lone speed. So I do think fractions will be key, if I haven't said that already. Race 6 is next up on the block for us. And this one is the Open Quality Handicap. Going to go off at 12 a.m. Eastern. That's tonight. So 12 or this morning, whichever way you want to look at it. You want to be more proper.
I know what time zone you're in.
Yeah, Eastern. Yeah, that's Eastern. So you could do the math from there. This one is going to be a 1,815 meters. That's interesting. Do they have 1,815 meters on here? I don't think that they do. So it's going to start here at 1,800 meters, maybe a little bit back at the beginning of the gray line. I'm going to start on that turn. So I would think that that initial start position could be hugely important, Tom. You don't want to get shuffled back. So I would think the horses to the inside, at least positionally, would have a little bit of an advantage to get to where they want to be on the track. What do you think?
Well, and I would look for any kind of speed horse on the inside. So when you bring up our chart, let's take a look at where the speed is going to be coming from.
So according to this, the early speed is going to belong to Tears of Love and Big Boy Roy. Those two should be battling it out as if though they're dragsters in a quarter-mile strip. And everybody also kind of settle in behind them as they come through the settling position. Does look like they could have a little bit of company from the 5 horse. The 6 horse will settle in there, but a lot of the pack, again, in the middle and back, looking to probably close as the race comes to an end. And as it comes to an end, again, we see a pretty even field here in terms of late ability. So I do think if everybody has some similar late pace, positioning is going to be hugely important to determine who wins this one once the gates open. So maybe those horses that have a little giddy up and go should be a little bit tilted towards.
Yeah, I would say with that, I handicapped it kind of that way because I took number 1, Bartholomew Diaz is my top choice. It's barrier 4 it's going to come out of. Ran 10th last time out of 20 horses in a group 2 at Ranwick at 1,600 meters. But it had issues along the rail and got bumped and had nowhere to go. So that may have accounted for that poor effort because before that it won a listed race at Flemington going 1,800 meters and it ran from, well, almost dead last. So definitely this one's going to be closing.
Mm-hmm.
He's run various levels and various races past, and he's been in open company. He's been in group 2 company. He's been listed company. So he's been running at all kinds of different levels. But one thing that really stuck out at me was he's 2 for 2 at Eagle Farm, and he's 4 out of 5 at this distance. So that kind of fits nicely, and that's why I put him on top.
Horse for the course and the distance. You got to like that.
So with that, I took number 4, Pancho, coming out of barrier 3. Since the layoff, ran a nice 4th in an open race. It was bumped at the start, so a little bit of problem. And then it came back in the next start and ran a 3rd in a listed race. In his last race, he improved a little better. He finished 2nd, but didn't quite get there, to say the least. So 3rd up is maybe a charm. Well, doesn't have a great record 3rd up. He's only has 6 starts and 3 placings. So I'm kind of not putting him on top for that reason. But I think he may be coming to form. And he has won at this distance. And, the efforts are good. They're just not winning efforts. 3, League 8 is going to be my next final choice. Barrier 7 going to come out of. I'm looking at this horse as being this. Maybe this is a better spot for it. Ran 7th last time out at 2,000 meters. Had a better effort at 2,200 meters at the sister track, Doom Bend. But it was a small field. It was only 5 horses. Ran 3rd. It's done okay at Eagle Farm in the past. 6 starts. It's got a win and 2 placings. And those are at this distance. So that's kind of key to me. And, just those money kind of play. Maybe get some odds on this one, kind of ignored. Have a nice run in there. I just have to put it in there because I looked at the rest of them and I just couldn't come up with anybody else other than him, and that's why I put him for 3rd.
All right. Well, 21-1 odds right now. This should be an interesting night of racing because we haven't had a lot of agreement so far.
Nope.
So I think that sets up well for odds. Number 6, Street Dancer is going to be my first choice in here. Street Dancer, when you look at this horse's past performances, is always making up a lot of ground late. So I think you're going to see this horse, one of those horses that might not be on the screen when you're watching it and then just flash in and win. So that's what I hope to see out of that. I agree with you on the one horse. This is some of the agreement that we have on this race. I think the only one we agree on. Bartholomew Diaz, as you mentioned last time out, he tried group company, didn't fare very well at all. So he's going to drop in class. You touched on the fact that he likes the track. He likes the distance. He's been at the track and the distance twice, won both of them. So a horse for the course, good fit for the conditions as well. Next up for me is number 5, Tears of Love. Tears of Love is the speed, in my opinion, of the speed in a race that doesn't have a ton of early speed. So this is the one I think can get out to the front, find itself up there. Is it going to win? I don't know if it can hold off some of the late chargers at the end, because a lot of these seem to have some brilliant late pace. This one will have company, unlike Cash Me in the previous race. So I think this is the kind of your on the lead late fader type that gets second or third as horses passes at the wire. And my last selection in here is number 7. I couldn't refuse at 10-1 right now. This is another one that is very aggressive in terms of its late pace ability as the race approaches the wire. Some of its best record, in fact, all of its best running has come on a good surface. Not been the best at the track in the distance 3 times out with a second. But overall, I think one that should factor late as they come to the wire for the gimmicks as well. Race 7 is the next one on the docket for us, Thomas. This one is the LOUGH Stakes. I guess, is that like I don't know, is that some Christmas related there with the low and the nay? I'm not sure. And this one is 1,400 meters. And at 1,400 meters, Tom, they're going to start right here, come back down around the corner, and come to the finish line. So still plenty of room to find yourself in position. What do you think? What was your strategy in this race? The last couple, you thought a little bit about some early speed. What are you thinking about here?
I looked mainly at mid-pack horses. Looking at the numbers that I did, I thought maybe this is going to be, and this is that challenging distance of 7 furlongs. So, it's not quite for sprinters, that true 6 furlong horse, but not quite for that one that likes to go a mile. So trying to pick out little diamonds in the rough is the way I always look at the 7 furlong race, because it can be a teaser.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tweener for sure. This one looks like it's going to have, when those gates open and the grass starts flying, certainly looks like there's going to be plenty of speed to chase here. You have Emerald Kingdom, Holyfield, Master Jamie, Rubamos, and You Called It, all of them competing for the top spot as they get out of the gate. So I think you can see some fractions go a little bit on the fast side here. So getting yourself into that stalker position, again, you can see most of the horses are forwardly placed. So these stalker position horses, the 9, the 7, and the 6, could be in a good spot. These folks up here get a little bit tired. The 6 horse is way, way, way back here by himself, which if these guys go too fast can be the ideal spot to be in if he has the most closing speed. He's up there for that, but not quite as strong as Rainbow Connection or Vinco as they close in on the winner's circle. Thomas, when it's done, who will get that trip to the winner's circle?
Well, I think it's going to be number 2, Holyfield, coming from barrier 5.
The real deal.
Yeah. He won his first start of the season at 1,200 meters in a really quick time of 107.7. Then he ran back at a 7th race in a listed race at Gold Coast, ran a second, and this was at 13:50. So, his running style says lead, but he's also run for the mid-pack in the past. And that's where I think he's going to be there. There's plenty of speed in this race, and he'll be right around there. But this is third up. He's had good efforts before third up. He's won. He's good at this distance. He's got 13 starts, 5 wins, and 4 placings. The only negative for me is he's never won at Eagle Farm. So that'll be interesting. But I looked at it. Yeah, there's got to be a first. Maybe today is the day.
Yeah, always.
Number 9, Rainbow Connection, is my next choice, coming out of barrier 9. after the layoff at one at Eagle Farm, going 1,000 meters in a BM 78 race, and it was quick, 57 flat. Third, the next at 1,200 meters, next start, same level, got a third. Last out, it ran. They took it to Rose Hill, ran another second, and at the same level again. So, this is a horse that has raced in Group 3 company and also listed and placed in both those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's moving back up in class on paper, but in fact, it has been in this type of company in the past. So I'm looking at it that way. And also the fact that this is a very lately raced horse with only 10 starts, got 2 wins and 5 placings. So not a bad percentage.
Nope.
Number 5, Smart Meteor is going to be my final choice.
Scratch though, Thomas.
Oh, it's gone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have one.
So you got 2 choices. All right. So I have a lot of choices in here. So we'll make up for that. As always, I try to irritate Sean.
A plethora of choices.
Yes, indeed. This one's going to start at 12:52 a.m. Eastern this evening. And when it starts, when it ends, Emerald Kingdom is going to be the one I see in the winner's circle. Emerald Kingdom, looking at this horse at the distance, 9 times out. He's won 5 of them, I think, if I remember correctly. 4 of them, excuse me, with a second and a third. But he's been at the track and at the distance 7 times, 3 wins, a second and a third. So likes the track, likes the distance. He's won 12 out of 33 on a good surface. Hasn't done as well on anything else. So let's hope that rain holds off as well for this guy. Next up for me is number 6. You called it. Looks like he's going to be one of the favorites. And I do think that this race, of the races that we've covered today, Tom, is going to be the most formful in terms of, I think the horses that the bettors do isolate on are going to be the ones that do show up at the end. This one, 3 wins and a second in its last 4 races, so you can't get in much better form than that. And this one appears to be peaking right now, so I think you're going to see a good effort out of the You Called It horse. Next up, number 2, Holyfield, likely to be the other co-favorite in here. This one has strong current form as well, kind of hard to argue with that. The only reason I kind of downgraded this one off of its morning line favoritism and current betting at the track, it's run 4 times and yet to find itself getting a check. So maybe it's a horse, anti-horse for the course. Maybe it doesn't like those small undulations, Tom. Prefers more of them or less of them. I'm not sure. And then I also agree with you with Rainbow Connection as my 4th selection. This horse has been running around 6 furlongs, 5.5, 6.5 furlongs, 6 3/4, some weird distances in there. And looking at the way the horse closes at the end, I feel like catching that extra quarter of a mile, extra quarter of a furlong, extra furlong is going to be a big difference for this horse. So the extra distance for Rainbow Connection to make the connection maybe even beats out that Holyfield. Again, the horse has really struggled at this track. The last race we're going to do is race number 8. And race 8 will start at 1:32 a.m. Eastern. It's the Gold Edition 3-year-old plate. This race is 1,200 meters. So I think in our vernacular, that would be 6 furlongs. 6 furlongs, 1,200 meters. Going to start right in the middle. We're going to get to that turn. It looks pretty quickly, Tom. Big sweeping turn. Come down to the finish line. I think this is a race where speed could hold up. The shorter distance, getting to that turn quickly. Do you agree?
I think it will, but there's a ton of speed in this race. And when you do that map, it's going to be a lot up in the front.
Well, it looks like all of them are going to be on the front if you look at the map. The exception being Exo Lady, who is going to be kind of lonely after the gate opens, it looks like, is they're all going to battle for the lead. So the settling position could be key because the front runners, but look, I mean, they're all going to be up on the front, Thomas. They're going to be really pressing hard. So in scenarios like this, I'm a big proponent of speed of the speed, or this guy back here, if it has any closing ability, the 7. That would be what I would be looking for. And speaking of closing ability, the one, well, there you go. So in this scenario where everything looks pretty much, they're all the same, I'm going to come back to here, look at the speed of the speed. and probably Steady Ready, who's not even in my picks, I don't think. That might be the one to win. All right, anyway, so I hope that it's not the speed of the speed. It's the secondary speed of the speed. All right, Tom, what do you got?
I picked number 6, End Assembly is my top choice, coming out of barrier 3. It's 2 for 2, 1,100 meters. One race by 5 lengths and the other one by 7 lengths. And this is a maiden and then a BM 63 level race. Again, I have to question what kind of field it's beating, but it's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, you can only beat the horses that you're running against.
Yeah, before its first start, it was gelded, so they must have had some issues. And guess what? It worked because they're 2 for 2.
Well, they didn't want anything else to get cut.
Yeah, well, you never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they must have seen something in that race last out, because they're adding winkers for the first time on this horse. So making an adjustment, and I wouldn't be very surprised if this horse is not right there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, who I think will be the favorite, Spiritual Istit.
Spiritualized?
7. Yeah, Spiritualized. Okay,
I'll go with that.
Barrier 7 is going to come out of. It's coming in off a layoff. Ran 3rd in Open Company, and at its sister track nearby, and at Dumben. It was on the lead all the way until the end. And guess what? Well, there's a lot of speed in this race too. Did it need a race? Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
But one fact you got to put into here is that it's never been out of the money in all its races, which is always important to look at. And it's also at 1,200 meters. It's got 4 starts and 2 wins and 2 placings. Definitely step up a little bit in company here, but seems to be on a battle. And I think that, it may have just needed that last race, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, I am going to take the lone closer. This one, the filly here is Exo Lady, and she's coming out of barrier 4. She's definitely the most experienced runner in this bunch. She's got 11 starts. I got 4 wins and 2 placings. She ran 4th last time out at Dumben, and was it a listed race? And she actually ran on the front end that race, which was kind of a surprise because that's not usually where she runs. She's placed at a Group 2 race, and she's won 2 listed races. So I'm looking at this as a little bit of a drop in class, and she's had success at this level before. So she's got some speed. She's definitely got some form. With her barrier draw from last time to this time, she's got a much better barrier draw. And I think that may help this horse place in a much better spot.
Well, we had a lot of disagreement so far, but we do both agree on this End Assembly being the top choice here in the Golden Edition 3-year-old plate. The horse is 2 for 2, and so far just been absolutely demolishing the company it's faced. So you don't know what you got until the horse loses. Hasn't lost yet. What's also an interesting thing is the horse has been crushing people at 5.5 furlongs and running away from them at the end. Actually going to stretch it out a little bit today to 6 furlongs. And I think that extra half a furlong is actually going to be even better for the horse.
It may want more.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think too. Number 4, Golden Boom, going to be your favorite. Looks like right now about 2 to 1. This one's undefeated in 2 career starts as well. Looking at the horse on the last race, it improved its final time by more than a second in career start number 2. And I'm a big fan of seeing horses come out the debut and then improve off the debut, especially when the fractions are faster. Sometimes you see horses where their speed numbers will go up, but the fractions actually drop. And I kind of wonder how that works, but I don't have the answer for that question today. And I think the rest of the horses, honestly, are running for 2nd and 3rd. And I think the 2 horses that are going to be competing for 2nd or 3rd are the 1 and the 2, Spiritualized and Johnny Rocker. Spiritualized beat Johnny Rocker last time. I don't see any reason why and he ran past him. So I don't see any reason why he won't run past him in a longer race today. Although the bettors did favor Johnny Rocker in that spot last out. So maybe they reverse roles today. So I'm going to go 6 and then the 4 and then the 1 and 2. So 6, 4, 1, 2 to close it out at Eagle Farm today. Thomas, tomorrow at, let's see, probably 10:30 in the morning, 11:30 in the morning Eastern, maybe 12 o'clock. Keep an eye on our social sites below. Myself and Charles will go to Oaklawn Park to do the $100 challenge tomorrow at Oaklawn. Hopefully I like that card more than I liked the Aqueduct card yesterday. And then Monday, Jamie and Sean will return for Horse Center. It's Jockey Week. Terry and I will do Parks. But before you do all of that, college football, the bowl season started today. So that means you have to head over to the Picks by the Professor. He'll have all the college bowl games covered for you. If you're going to play the college bowl games, there is a link in the description below. So please make sure you click on that. Go over there and make a lot of noise, Thomas. Let them know what you think. Any final thoughts from you before we get out of here and enjoy this weekend?
As always, good luck in these races. I think that last one with all that speed is going to be a very entertaining race.
Indeed. Any sense of what next Friday looks like? Or
I think we're going to be heading to Shot 10.
Shot 10, back out to Hong Kong. Fantastic. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to when we get back together again tomorrow for Oaklawn Park. And then tonight, of course, myself, Sean, and Jared will do our best to see if we can collect some winners in the National Football League. All three of us got the game right last night between Seattle and San Francisco. Let's see if we can get the rest of the weekend slate games. I know there's some bunch of games on Saturday.
Mr. Irrelevant is turning into something relevant, that quarterback for San Francisco.
Sure looks like it right now, Thomas. I do have my concerns, though. He's 6'1". I think only 2 6'1" quarterbacks have done fairly well in the NFL, Drew Brees and Russell Wilson. They're two good 6'1" quarterbacks, but relatively short for the at least for the rest of the sample size in the NFL.
Well,
championship
quarterbacks. He's still a rookie too, so you just don't know.
And no rookies won the Super Bowl. And Terry's a huge 49ers fan, so we've been having this. I've been kind of ribbing him a little bit because I can tell from the text that I get back, he gets a little bit hot under the collar. But no rookie quarterback has ever won the Super Bowl, and there's a lot of superstar quarterbacks that were good in their rookie season on decent teams. They couldn't get it done. It would be shocking to me if this is the one that gets it done, especially for a team that has played the softest schedule in the NFC and the second softest schedule in the NFL overall. But anyway, looking forward to tomorrow's picks, horse racing picks at Oaklawn. So whatever you're doing this Friday, this Saturday, or Sunday, no matter what it is, Thomas, can only end up in one place, and that must be
winner's circle.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to getting back together again. Have a great weekend.